Welcome to WagerTalk Today. Kelly Stewart here. You guys know me as Kelly in Vegas, usually hosting Last Call on Saturday and Sunday mornings or Bet on It. But today we're filling in for the Prez, and we have a red hot show for you guys today. We are covering basically every single sport that you could possibly ever want to talk about. I am looking at this lineup. We're talking EPL, we're talking NBA, we're talking college basketball, we're talking golf, and we're talking darts. Andy Lang's going to have to explain that one. I don't even have a follow-up question ready for that. But we're going to bring in Pavlos here off the top of the hour right now, 42-21. He has been absolutely crushing soccer, up 36, almost 37 units here on the season. We're going to get into some EPL. And as you guys know, I'm not a big soccer girl. I do love to bet it. So please forgive me if I speak wrong about any of the matches. Pavlos, welcome to WagerTalk Today.
Glad to be here once again. It's really nice to be able to talk about soccer. You know, I know this is not a very friendly, soccer-friendly. The viewers don't really know much about soccer, but I'm here to just break down some very easy matches and some very, some nice plays that have that are backed by statistics and logic. So let's get to it.
Hey, listen. We will bet anything. If 2020 proved to us, we will bet anything that makes us money. So I don't want to hear from the audience that they don't like soccer. You don't even have to watch. You can bet it and forget it. I think that's like an infomercial. We're going to get into this first one, the EPL. Everton, I don't know who they are, but I do know who Liverpool is. And I am going to attempt to go to a Liverpool match when I am over in the UK in August. Let's talk about why you don't think both teams will score here.
First of all, this is a local derby called the Merseyside Derby. And in local derbies like this, the differences between the two teams, they tend to get very, very small. No matter how good Liverpool are, Everton always give them a run for their money. They actually beat them by 2-0 in the most recent match in this venue last season. And Everton lost just one of last 7 matches as hosts against Liverpool with 1 win, 5 draws and 1 loss. And they lost just twice in the last 12 matches where they hosted Liverpool with 1 win, 9 draws, 2 losses. Granted, they don't win much, but they don't lose easily either. Now, both teams to score no, which means that at least one of the teams will not score, is 5-0 in the last 5 head-to-head matches and 11-3 in the last 14 matches. Also 6-2 run in last 8 in this venue. Now, this season, Everton are leading the EPL in matches with both teams to score no, with 16-7, and they're also leading the EPL with matches with both teams to score no at home with 8-4. Liverpool are number 3 in matches with both teams to score no with 11-12, and number 4 on the road with 6-6. Now, Liverpool, last stat, they're leading the EPL in clean sheets with 10 clean sheets in 23 matches, and Everton are number 2 with 9 clean sheets in 23 matches. So Liverpool have the most clean sheets on the road with 6-12, and Everton have the most clean sheets at home with 5-12. So historical data in this head-to-head, as well as results from this season, all point towards to at least one of the two teams not scoring. So give me both teams to score no at -112. This match goes live later today.
All right. See, who doesn't want to run through a brick wall after that analysis? This is what makes betting and gambling so much fun, trying to find an edge. And that is what Pavlos does, especially here in the EPL. Brighton versus Chelsea. You like the over here, over 2.5 goals, as well as both teams to score.
Yeah, this is one of the actually, it's a very interesting way to bet on this match. These two actually met 4 days ago in the FA Cup. Brighton beat Chelsea by 2-1, and that was the 4th consecutive match between the two sides that produced both teams to score and over 2.5 goals, with a 5-1 run in the last 6 and 8-1 to the both teams to score. Now, there is a 7-1 run to the both teams to score in head-to-head matches in this venue between these two sides, and 6-2 to the over 2.5 goals, with a combination of both teams to score and over 2.5 goals showing up in 4 of the last 5. Now, this season, Brighton are number 2 in the EPL in matches that produced both teams to score with a 71% hit rate, 17-7, and number 3 at home with a 73% hit rate, 8-3. Really good numbers for both teams to score. Now, Chelsea, they're number 1 in the EPL in matches with both teams to score with a 75% hit rate, 18-6, and number 2 on the road with a 67% hit rate, 8-4. Chelsea are currently on a 5-0 run to the both teams to score and over 2.5 goals in all competitions. So we are essentially talking about two teams that have great offensive virtues. They can score a lot of goals, but their defenses are leaky. They don't really keep clean sheets. So give me both teams to score and over 2.5 goals. Same game parlay at -132.
All right, same game parlay for those who like to partake. Before we get into this third game, I mentioned Pavlos is on a red hot soccer run, 42-21 over the last 3 weeks. Right now, you can get 30 days of his soccer, $129 using promo code SOC30. All right, the most exciting game here on this slate, but it's not until Saturday. So we got to wait a few days. But you, I'm assuming, are wanting to get ahead of the under here in Manchester City versus Newcastle.
Well, I'm going to start with just mentioning a little analogy because maybe some people do not know who these teams are or how good they are. Manchester City are like the 90s Bulls. They're like a team that has a lot of superstars. Probably one of the best managers in the world in coach Pep Guardiola. They won 4 EPL titles in a row and 6 of the last 7. So this is a team that's like among the best in Europe. However, this season they've fallen off a cliff. There's multiple reasons why that happened, mainly injuries to key players, and the manager actually went through a rough divorce that left him devastated. If you watch any of the matches for Manchester City, he looks really, really sad in the bench. Now they just yesterday they were hosting Real Madrid in the Champions League. They were 2-0 up, 2-1 up at home. They ended up losing that match with a last-minute goal. Real Madrid beat them by 3-2. It's a really, really bad situation for them because right now they're sitting 15 points behind Liverpool in the EPL. So they really cannot make a push for the EPL title. And now the Champions League is almost out of their grasp because they're going to play next Wednesday in Madrid against Real Madrid for the second leg. So in between those two crucial matches for the Champions League, they have to host Newcastle, who they were pretty much nobodies up until 3, 4, 5 years ago. When I say nobodies, I mean that they were a mid-tier side in the EPL, but the Saudis bought them. They threw some money on them, and they're doing really, really well. Now, Newcastle, these two are actually tied in the EPL with 41 points. Newcastle, they can do some damage here, but I don't like where the line is moving. City are now -110 favorites at home. The draw is at +330. Newcastle are +250 underdogs on the road with the Asian total set at 3.25. That's a split line between the 3 and the 3.5. And I like the under here. Newcastle, they've, the matches against top teams in the EPL, they always go under the total. They played Chelsea. They beat Arsenal 3 times this season. All matches went to the under. They have 2 unders against Chelsea, 1 under versus Manchester United. And of course, a 1-1 draw against Manchester City in the reverse fixture. So, only one of the last 6 head-to-head matches had 3 goals or more. And now the Asian total, again, is set at 3.25, which is a split line between 3 and 3.5. So we like the under 3.25 goals here, which gets us paid in the event of 0, 1, or 2 goals. And we even get half a payout if there's exactly 3 goals. Now, it's always tricky to bet unders in the EPL, but I have reasons to believe that Newcastle will try to take advantage of whatever's going on Manchester City's camp and, take it slow, because if they try to turn this into a goal fest, they might lose this one. So I think Newcastle, they have a solid defense. They can keep this total at a minimum. So give me the under 3.25 goals at even money.
I love it. The best beard at WagerTalk, telling you guys exactly how to make some money here in the EPL and reminding you guys how to actually bet it. Thank you for that explanation, Pavlos. You are the best. Anything you'd like to leave our audience with?
I just wanted to say I just loaded a 4% for Sunday. I'm on a 14 and 3 run in 4% releases plus 40 units. So we've been crushing it. But your best bet really is to take that 30-day pass, because we got the second legs of the Champions League next week. And then 2 weeks after that, we got the next round of the Champions League. We got Europa League. This is the hottest season for soccer. We got all the competitions running at once. MLS is starting in a couple of weeks, so there's going to be a lot of soccer. We're on a hitter right now, doing well with best bets. This is the best time to get a 30-day or even more at wt.bus/pl.
Football season might be over, but football season is just starting there in Europe. Thank you to Pavlos for hopping on and breaking down those games for us, for people like me who do not bet soccer to fully understand. All right, we're going to bring in Andy Lang next. And as I mentioned, we have a myriad of things to talk about today. And he's hit one from NBA and one from golf and one from darts. Now, I know I made a little soccer joke about how I don't even have to watch soccer. But do I really have to watch darts? Like, what are we doing here, Andy?
I will 100% guarantee that if you watch darts once, you're at the worst going to be curious. My guess is most likely you're going to get into it because it's a party. Like, it is an absolute party. The crowd shows up. They're in costumes. They're constantly singing and doing chants. The darts players have entrances like wrestling. I'm not making this up. With pyro, this is, I'm telling you, every Thursday afternoon, because Kelly, this takes place over in England. So every Thursday afternoon at 2:00 from now for the next 3.5 months is the best part of my week. It is nonstop darts, and it is an absolute riot. You guys in the chat who have watched this, you guys back me up. We have turned a lot of people who never once watched one darts play into darts fans. Scott C. already says watching darts is awesome. I'm telling you, Kelly.
Okay. All right. Okay.
And the best part is if you live in a legal state, FanDuel shows the darts live on their live betting page.
Wow.
So you can, yeah. So if you have FanDuel, you can watch all these matches. So it's pretty amazing. And I already said this in the chat, Kelly. We need more Kelly in Vegas in our lives. We need you to host more of these shows. So put in the chat #KIV. Let's get some momentum going. If you're watching this after,
if she's going to fill in while Prez goes on vacation. I work whenever I go on vacation. I bring my laptop, I bring my lights, I bring my mic. I'm in a Caribbean island and I'm still working. No, I don't mind filling in for the Prez. He does a daily show, and that's not something I'm quite willing to do just yet. But we do host Last Call. I work every single Saturday and Sunday. Who wants to work Saturday and Sunday? I do that. I do that for you guys. Andy Lang, let's get into this dart play, because apparently now I'm going to have to bet this and watch darts. Okay. Tell me who Stephen Bunting is, first and foremost. Let me hear about this man and why I need to put my hard-earned money on him.
Okay, if you saw this man's physical appearance, there's never in a million years you would guess that he's a professional athlete. That's the same as a lot of these darts players. Not much muscle, but he's an older guy, absolute fan favorite. Everyone loves him. He brings his son to these tournaments, and his son has been a little bit of a viral sensation. But we're going to take him to go under 98.5 on his 3-dart average in his first match. Kelly only averaged 94.03 last week, and the big problem was his checkouts. He was only 4 of 13 on checkouts. If you have a high percentage of checkouts, your average is going to be way high. If you're struggling at the end of the game and the end of the leg to close out these matches, and you're only hitting like a 5 and a 20, and then you miss the board, your average just plummets. That's where you really get the value in these under. So this 98.5, this just feels like an awful lot for a guy that struggled last week.
Okay, let's break this down just a little bit further, just like I had Pavlos do for soccer. All right, where do we find these bets? Number one, I know you mentioned FanDuel. I have Hard Rock at my disposal. I don't think John Murray puts them up at the Westgate Superbook, but I can ask. Where do we find these bets? And where the hell do we watch this?
Okay, so watching is FanDuel is obviously no one. If you have Bet365, they should be showing them as well. And I believe Fubo is where you can watch the broadcast. I believe they switched from DAZN to Fubo. So that's over here in the States. Where can you bet this? These are all on DraftKings. That's where we pull all these lines. Every single one of these lines I talk about is on DraftKings. And I believe they're also on one particular non-domestic book that rhymes with Movado.
Okay, great. Don't worry, guys. We're going to get into the college basketball slate with Ralph Michaels here in a minute. And, of course, we've got the steam report from Gianni The Greek. But first, we're going to get through the darts talk, okay? Andy digs deep here for you guys in some of these really elusive sports, and it doesn't matter. I did a video earlier today with Tokyo Brandon. Money all spins the same. All right, let's go to the NBA. Andy, I don't like to bet the NBA between now and the All-Star break. I'm going to be really just frank. I feel like there's like a lag, right? And I think Hakeem Prophet would back me up here. Sometimes the guys just see the All-Star break and they're like, just get us to All-Star break, get through it, and then boom, their mindset's in the playoffs. Do you agree with that sentiment and being really cautious between now and then? Or are you like, no, Kelly, there's still value on the board every single night?
Yeah, so I agree with being cautious to a certain extent, but you also can find these teams that are lagging and we can fade them. And we actually talked about Malik Beasley yesterday to go over 3.5 3-pointers against Chicago. He had 7. This is a Chicago team that has given up. They're in just full-blown like tank mode. They're giving up 130 points per game to the opposition. And so we're looking at fading them again. And I'm going to go back to Ausar Thompson. Kelly, Ausar Thompson over his points, rebounds, says, this was my Is Your Trend Your Friend? Is This Trend Your Friend on social media yesterday? And it hit easily. Detroit was up almost 50 at halftime. I mean, Chicago scored 29 points in the first half. This is a team that is not playing defense. They're not playing offense. In the last 6 games, I'm not sure what happened with Thompson. I don't know if he's getting some hype from his brother or what, but he's averaging 14 points, 5.5 rebounds, 2.5 assists. And last night, Kelly, he only needed to play 22 minutes because of the blowout, and he still flew over this points, rebounds, and assist total. You would like to think Chicago shows a little bit more pride in this game and maybe keeps it a little bit closer. That way Thompson can play a few more minutes, but even if he only plays 25, 27 minutes, he's been shooting the ball lights out, and Chicago is giving no resistance on defense. So I'm going to continue to fade some of these teams that are really bad on defense right now. Milwaukee is one of them that I think you can fade without Giannis. They've been terrible. And Atlanta, poor Atlanta. They look so great at the beginning of the year, injuries, and they've kind of thrown in the towel on the season. So, Kelly, leading up to All-Star break, these are the teams I'm looking to fade and take some player props on the opposition.
I love that. Good digging deep there by Andy Lang. We're going to get into some golf here in a minute, but first I got to tell you guys about the site-wide promotion. 30 days for under $8 a day. And I know football season's so over and I'm so sad about it, but we still have college basketball. We still have NBA. We have NHL. And we aren't even about the second half of those seasons. So right now, this offer gives you access from every single play from your favorite handicapper. That includes your top 5% plays that are usually $35 each. $239 right now. You get 30 days of all sports, all access from your WagerTalk handicapper. Right now, there's no limit on the handicappers that you choose. So whether they are UFC, soccer, tennis, NBA, NHL, college basketball, you get to pick your betting expert over at wagertalk.com right now. 30 days for under $8 a day. Andy Lang, I was really sad. I was cheering for Tom Kim in the Phoenix Open last week, and he looked good on Friday, and then he kind of fell off the map. And we get a relative unknown, at least unknown to the casual golf fan, such as myself. But now you're picking a kind of a big name here to not do very well in this week's tournament.
Yeah, so let me just give you a little backstory on this tournament. So this is the Genesis Open, and it's normally played at a certain course out in California. Because of the fires, they have moved this to Torrey Pines. This is the course that they played 3 weeks ago, so we have some really relevant course history here. So 3 weeks ago, Hideki Matsuyama shot 75, 70, and 76 in 3 rounds at this course, and that was in nice weather. Kelly, the weather this week is awful. It is raining there right now. It's not even 60 degrees. Tomorrow, it's going to be raining again. It's going to be less than 60 degrees. The wind is going to be 10 miles an hour or higher. This is important because this course, the fairways are fairly narrow. The rough is really thick, and this is the longest course that they will play on tour. This is going to be a brutal couple of days. And Hideki Matsuyama's big Achilles heel this year has been his driving accuracy. Kelly, if you do not hit fairways, you are going to be in the thickest, wettest, most disgusting rough that it's going to be really hard to get the ball out of. This is not a course you can overpower. At the same time, the course is super long. I think the winner of this tournament may be over par. So Hideki only needs to shoot 1 over tomorrow, and I just don't see where any birdies come from. It's going to have to be some really long putts. It's just going to be absolutely miserable. He didn't play this well at this course 3 weeks ago when it was good weather. I don't see how he gets off to a good start here. Take Matsuyama over 72.5 score in his first round.
Andy, should we be looking at other golfers to go over their first round score as well? I mean, I don't want to blindly bet overs due to weather and overreaction, but you're right. That just sounds absolutely miserable, whether you're playing golf or you're a spectator.
They're going to be miserable. I mean, think about it. They sign up to play this elevated event, so it's a huge purse. It's the Tiger Woods event, and they're supposed to play on this other course. Now, Tiger Woods isn't playing, and it gets moved to one of the toughest courses they play on tour. Like, this is a nightmare for some of these guys. Scheffler hasn't looked that good. They have his at 71.5. I don't know, the guy that fell apart in the last round of the Phoenix Open. I'm not too excited about him. Victor Hovland, he'll play one decent round and then 3 awful ones. I'm not excited about him. Wyndham Clark decides when he wants to play and when he doesn't want to play. I can't imagine he's going to get that excited when the rain hits his face in the first round. I don't want any part of him. There's a lot of guys that are really, really going to struggle. Nick Borman and I have a full preview video on this tournament on the Wager Talk page. And yes, you're right. Thomas Dietrich, the guy that won the Phoenix Open. Don't worry, Kelly. He was not on our radars at all. This is the guy that mostly plays over in Europe. I'm not sure where that performance come from. So you were not alone in your surprise on that.
Good for him, though. I love when new guys or relative unknowns go out and kick ass in tournaments because I think it's good for the sport. Don't get me wrong. I love Scotty Scheffler, but all the guys moving to live, that had the relative big names. It's fun to see this field become more competitive, if you will. So I think it's good for golf. All right, Andy, I usually see you on, Bet On It or Wager Talk's last call, but today's Wager Talk Today. Anything you want to say to the Wager Talk Today audience that has been so patient with all of your crazy dart bets?
Darts is tomorrow. Starts at 2 p.m. You can get that 30-day pass if you want all of those plays. We have a big diversified portfolio, Steve Merrill will say. We got NASCAR race this weekend. We got our 5% UFC best bet that is up. We've got darts. We've got tennis. We've got NBA. Kelly, red hot in NBA. 17-5 run and an 8-1 to close out All-Star break. So really proud about that. When NHL returns, we'll have all of that. So tons of sports. It's a great time of year to invest. Now that football's over, these are the sports that we've dominated for years. Lacrosse is out. We actually have our very first women's lacrosse play that is going up for tonight. Yes. Yeah, yes, you're part of the lacrosse family.
Season. Yeah, last year was great. I got into it.
You're gonna love betting on women's lacrosse. You're going to love betting on women's lacrosse. Yeah, the difference from the good to even the medium is a mile. It's going to be stark, which gives us great betting opportunities on some of the really good teams and the really bad teams. Yes, you're going to love it. I officiated college women's lacrosse for years, so I've seen. Yeah, you didn't know that. Fun fact.
No, I know nothing about you. Remember, I also thought your name was Andrew. Okay, here we are. If you guys missed that reference from Bet On It, it is what it is. Okay, guys. Andy Lang, we love him at Bump Sports.
Hashtag KIV in the comments section. Hashtag KIV. Hashtag KIV. We need more Kelly in our lives.
Hashtag KIV needs a raise to be able to do a daily show. All right, Andy, we're gonna get you out of here at Bump Sports at Andy Lang Bets on TikTok. That way you guys can see is this trend your friend every single day. He shows up for you guys to give you tons of free content. And that's what we do here at Wager Talk. Yes, we have things to sell, but we also appreciate all of you guys tuning in, hanging out on social media with us, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, of course, our world famous YouTube channel. Make sure you guys give us a like, thumbs up, hit that subscribe button. It's part of my contract. I'm contractually obligated to say that. Now I'm excited because Ralph and I are going to talk some college basketball, and college hoops has been an interesting one this year, Ralph. Those Kansas State Wildcats just now out of nowhere, left for dead, win 6 straight. And all of a sudden now I care about college basketball again, at least from a fan perspective. I've been making a ton of money with these SEC dogs. Ralph, I've got Florida at 40-1 to win the national championship. Joe Ranieri, our producer last night, texted me and Chris Thurston and goes, man, look out. Are you guys too late to bet Florida? I'm like, Joe, where have you been? I gave this out in December. I know we still got a ways to go, Ralph, but it has been absolutely awesome. Last night's slate was great. Had quite a few really good second half plays. And that's where I've been finding my value versus pre-flop. And that's because some of these teams are not electing to play two halves of basketball, and I get really frustrated. Some of these teams are, well, we'll call them free throw adverse, right? But let's talk about one of the best teams in the country, and that is the Duke Blue Devils right now, playing really great on both sides of the ball, but they are off that loss on Saturday to Clemson. They're on the road. Now they play Cal, which sounds so insane to say. I mean, I know that Cal's now in the ACC, but it just, that is not the matchup that I was expecting for mid-February. Let's get into this matchup, Ralph. Very, very excited for this one. I think that there is some definite value here.
Cal, let me just go over a little college basketball overview first. We're going to talk about an SEC game after this. And for those of you that watch SEC basketball and say, oh my God, look how good this conference is. If you look at Ken Palm's ratings, the worst team in the SEC is LSU at number 81. The ACC has 11 teams, number 80 or higher. So if you are a bottom of the rung SEC team, you would be in the upper half of the ACC. That just shows you the comparison between the conferences. Now, Duke is going to be a number one seed, and there's nothing wrong with losing a game on the road at Clemson. The reason they lost that game is they got out-rebounded by 8. They got outscored by 18 points in the paint, and they got out-rebounded by 13 rebounds. We also have the unique dynamic. Cal has been home all 3 games in the month of February. Their last road game was January 29th at SMU. Now they're traveling across country, off a game on Saturday, and I'll tell you what, these kids are going to be in awe walking into Cameron Indoor Arena for the first time. It's going to be a crazy scene, especially for a fired-up Dukies crowd playing off the loss. Now, Cal has played a very weak schedule. I already talked how weak the ACC is, but during the non-conference schedule, they started off 6-1 this season, but they played a very weak non-conference schedule, number 254. Now that the competition has gotten better, in their last 4 games, Cal has averaged only 35% shooting. Cal is 4-1 as a double-digit dog, but they're only 2-3 away off a home game, and they're only 1-4 in the first half. Duke off a loss. If you go back in the last 3 years with Shearer here as the head coach, they're 6-1 ATS off a loss. They are playing great ball both offensively and defensively. Their only weakness, rebounding. And while Cal is a decent offensive rebounding team, they're not a good defensive rebounding team. But for my best bet here, Cal, I'm going to go Cal team total under 59.5. Cal is number 244 on offensive tempo. Duke presses you on defense. They are number 362 on tempo, which means there's only 4 teams that it takes more time to come down and take your average shot versus the Blue Devils defense. Duke off a loss, Cal, 2 overs, 13 unders. They lock down defense. At home off a loss, 0-7 over under, and they're holding their opponents team total 8 points per game under what the team total is. When Cal is a dog or a favorite of -6 with a total of 139 or higher, they are 3-12 over under. And with traditional rest, that's 3 days or less, the Bears, 9 straight unders, and those games have gone under by 10 points per game. It is a low team total at 59.5, but with this Cal offense and this Duke defense fired up off a loss, this is an actual client release that you're receiving here for free.
I love that. We're going to fade one of the worst shooting teams in the country here in Cal. Ralph, I like that. Digging deep, looking for a team total instead of laying the chalk here with the Blue Devils. As you mentioned, we're going over the SEC. Did you see some of the kind of hype surrounding the SEC conference in basketball, right? Like, they look good, but in true SEC fashion, it's not quite top to bottom here. There's the haves and the have-nots, the Alabamas, the Floridas, the Kentucky, Tennessees. There's not a lot of middle ground. And this Missouri team, I cannot for the life of me get correct. Like when I say I cannot get correct, I'm talking, I think I'm 0-4 betting against them. But Oklahoma has been the bane of my existence since SEC play started. Every freaking time I have an excuse and I'm like, all right, I got a real rationale. I got a reason to back Oklahoma here. And what do? They cannot play a complete game. I liked the hire of Porter Moser when it happened. And boy, did they look good until literal SEC play. Now all they do is turn the ball over. They cannot get a board to save their lives. I don't know what to do with this game. I actually wish this game just wouldn't air because that's how wrong I've been about both of these teams.
Well, I'm going to start this off, Kelly, by saying, if I came on here and say, I'm going to back Missouri, why? Because they're a good team, a win percentage over 70%. They're off a loss as a home favorite. They actually have double revenge against Oklahoma. Now, if I said all those things to you, you would say, I agree with you, Ralph. That's a good bet. But that's why we go to the database. Now, I'm still going to lean Missouri. Don't get me wrong, but it's important to know what the numbers are that you're betting into. Teams that I told you about, Kelly, win percentage over 70% in February, so it's later in the season, playing with double revenge, off a loss as a whole favorite. How shocked would you be if I told you the ATS record is 11-30, 27%? So you cannot have preconceived notions that you think a team is off a loss as a home favorite and have revenge, and that is just a reason to play them. Understand what you're betting into. Now, with that said, Missouri averaged 52% shooting in the 5 games previous to their back-to-back losses. And while they lost back-to-back games against Auburn and Tennessee, they shot 33 and 32%. Those defenses are number 1 and number 6 in the country with the Ken Palm ratings. I'm a big fan of Dennis Gates. I love what he did at Cleveland State. In 3 years, he turned that team around. He took them to a championship level type team in the Horizon League. And here's his quote. The ironic thing about this conference, you can play well in almost a perfect game and still lose. That's how good this conference is. We lost the last 2 games by a total of 7 points to 2 top 10 teams, one on a last-second 3-point shot. How much better do you want my guys to play? That's a very confident statement that I think they're going to take away from these 2 losses. You look at the Sooners. Yeah, the Sooners started 13-0, Kel, but they played the number 316th weakest schedule in college basketball in non-conference action. That's why they're 3-7 in conference play. When I also look at Oklahoma, they've only played, this is only their 5th true road game. They're 1-4 as a dog of +4 or higher. So this is an entirely different dynamic. It's also only the 2nd time this year that they are facing a team that is off a loss at home. So now you have an angry team playing Oklahoma where they've had a very favorable schedule up until this point. But this is one where I broke down first half and full game numbers. And Kelly, the start to the show when you were talking about teams not playing the first halves or playing the full game, Missouri is only 7-8 against the spread as a home favorite, but they're 11-4 in the first half. At home with a total in this range above 150, they're only 6-4 against the spread, but they're 9-1 ATS in the first half. And after a loss, only 2-3 straight up, 4-1 in the first half. As a home favorite of -6, -8 or more, they're 0-6 this season since last November. But again, 4-2 in the first half. I think this number is very cheap. Missouri -5 first half, despite what I told you at the beginning. So as long as you're aware of what the record is, it's a very small sample size over a very long period of time, so it doesn't happen very often. But I do like Missouri here. I'm going to give out best bet first half -5 for the show.
All right, Ralph, I'm going to cheer for you and not bet this because I don't want to mush you. When I say I have been dead wrong about both of these teams, I will not be getting involved. I'll be looking at St. John's second half and maybe South Carolina there for myself. We'll see if I end up getting to the window with both of those. But let's move over to the NBA, and I'm going to pose the same question for you that I did with Andy Lang, Hakeem Prophet, Ariel Epstein, and I have a group chat. We talk about all sorts of things, but we like to talk about the NBA as well. And right now, it's kind of like cruise control for some of these teams, right? Andy mentioned a couple teams he's looking to bet against, maybe a couple of guys he's looking to back. But right now, it's kind of just like, all right, we're waiting for All-Star break. Some of these teams are literally just waiting till the playoffs. I know the NBA has tried to do a little bit more with getting these guys involved with the in-season tournaments, but tell me why you either don't subscribe to just laying off the NBA right now, or you think certain spots are worth a play.
Well, traditionally, I'm on first on the show, but because I'm last today, I actually got to go to the database while Andy was talking, and you guys were talking about it. So how about if I share the actual data without giving my opinion of pre-All-Star break?
Love that.
So these are February games, the game before the All-Star break. So if you're playing 2 games, it does not apply. It is the game before the All-Star break with at least 5 days of rest. If you are playing at home, and you are off a loss, going back to 1996, those teams are 57.4%. So that actually plays against what your thought process is, but that is the game before the All-Star break, a team at home, and they are coming off a straight-up loss. So they are angry and they're motivated to not go into the All-Star break with an extended losing streak. But if you're at home off a win in the game before the All-Star break, you are 45.5%. You're 51% as a home favorite. But if you are off a win and a home dog the game before the All-Star break, you are 27% against the spread since 1996. So share that with Ski and with Ariel and let them know that when you're looking at teams, it's a play on a home team off a loss, and it's a play against a home dog off a win.
All right, let's get into this Clippers-Grizzlies matchup, Ralph. Like I said, I like to get involved in the NBA come playoff time. By then, college basketball's all but finished, and I feel like I'm getting 100% from the guys that I'm putting my hard-earned money on. Tell me why we're back in, well, is it the Grizzlies or the Clippers tonight?
Well, the Grizzlies are as hot as anyone. They're 11-2 their last 13 games. They're on a 9-4 ATS run in that span, and they're by far one of the best road teams. They're 16-6 against the spread on the road, and when they're on the road, Kel, they're also 17-5 over/under. When you look at the Clippers are a team that have been waiting for Kawhi to get back. Kawhi has now played 14 games. He's played 10 games in January. They brought him along slowly. He averaged only 24.2 minutes per game. In the 10 games in February, he's averaged 28.5 points per game, and they've really ramped up his minutes the last few games, playing 33 and 31 minutes. So if you're a prop player, Kawhi has been flying under the total with his limited minutes. It's now time to get that out of your system, and I think perhaps start looking at some of his player props as his minutes increase. Now, Memphis played last night, and in that game they played a very solid game. They beat Phoenix. They were a 4.5-point favorite. They won by 7. I traditionally look to fade NBA teams playing with no rest in this type of role. But when you're talking about the Memphis Grizzlies, throw that thought out the door. They are 7-1 with no rest this year, and they're an amazing 11-1 ATS when they have less rest than their opponent. Now, the Clippers are 6-4 against the spread versus a no-rest team, so on the plus side. But when you break that out, when they're a big favorite playing a team with no rest, a favorite of 8 or more, they're a perfect 5-0. But when the Clippers are a dog or a small favorite playing a team with no rest, they're actually 1-4 against the spread. So the overall numbers are good. But when you look at the favorite dog dichotomy splits, this is a fade situation for them. This is another one that I am going to bet first half, and I'm going to bet Memphis over 56.5. I told you Memphis on the road, 17-5 over/under. They're 13-2 over/under as an away dog, And if you look at them as an away dog with a total of 238 or less, they are a perfect 10-0 over-under this year. But again, another first half, second half split here. When Memphis has no rest, they average 66 points in the first half and only 59 points in the second half. They wear out in the second half. They allow 53 points in the first half, and they allow 58.3 points in the second half. So let me paraphrase that again. When Memphis has no rest, they are plus 13 points per game in the first half. They are only plus 1 point per game in the second half. The LA Clippers are 13-5 as a home favorite, but only 8-9 ATS as a home favorite in the first half. And off a home win, the Clippers are 7-2 full game, but only 3-4-1 in the first half. So I've added a lot more first half, second half plays to my arsenal this year. It's given me great success in the NBA. So best bet here for the show, Memphis Grizzlies, first half over 56.5.
All right, Ralph, I mentioned earlier in the show that right now we are running a site-wide promo, $239, get you 30 days, all access from your favorite WagerTalk handicapper. If somebody wanted to purchase that from you, what should they be expecting over the next 30 days?
Well, you know, it's going to take you through conference tournaments, which I absolutely love. I actually think there's more value, Kelly, in conference tournaments than there is March Madness. I've had great success in March Madness, but the conference tournaments, when you get those back-to-back games and you have those better coaches being able to make better adjustments, it's something I always look forward to. The NBA doing well. I did drop a 5% last night on my $5 play. That was on Creighton. They had a halftime lead and blew it, but I did go 2-1, but under $8 a day for the next 30 days of NBA, college basketball, and the NHL. Head to my page, wt.buzz/RM. And you know what, Kelly? I was last today, but I enjoyed listening to Pavlos talk about soccer. I always enjoy listening to Andy talking about darts. When I Googled the Greek Freak, I was expecting to see Pavlos, and there was some guy called Giannis who plays for the Bucks. So I guess Pavlos has to be called the Greek soccer freak from here on out. And if you guys don't know, it's 8 o'clock at night in Greece, and Pavlos actually lives in Greece. So when he talks European soccer, he has firsthand insight on that. I love listening to him.
Yeah, he's great. As I said, he has the best beard at Wager Talk. But then I realized, like, it's not really fair because nobody else really has a beard. But anyway, I still love it. He just got that. If I had one, I don't know what I would do. I would. Anyway, we are off topic. Cal Sports LV, if you guys ever want anything done from the database, all you got to do is tweet Ralph. He is always open to answering any questions. He does a ton of stuff for me as well. All right, we got the Steam report coming up right now. I usually yell at Prez for going late on the show, but now I'm going late on the show, and I understand. We're having so much fun. It's full of such great information, and we got to get to VR here. See what he's got on the college basketball, NBA slate. Maybe he's got some early steam. VR, welcome in. Usually I get to see you on Saturdays and Sundays on Last Call. I hope you had a great NFL Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, that is, at the Westgate Superbook. I saw your pictures and stuff online. It looked like you and Jess had a great time.
Great time. If you hear some noise in the background, some guys are doing some work, so forgive me. But we already got NBA action, already got college basketball action. Huge board, so a lot more coming in. But so far, we have gotten down on a handful of NBA and college basketball bets. And looking forward, like Ralph said, with conference tournaments up ahead, that's a real good time to make some money. A lot of value in those. And of course, then rolling over into March Madness. Great times ahead.
Yeah, next 30 days is going to be awesome for sports. If you guys don't watch Last Call with me in VR, I usually just sit back and relax. I let him do his thing, so that's what I'm going to let him do right here. Bring you guys the Steam report on WagerTalk Today. I got my pen and paper ready. Let's hear it, VR.
All right, going to dive right in. Start off with the NBA. 509 Cleveland minus the 13.5. 506 under. 204 Charlotte. Orlando 516 Oklahoma City minus the 13.5. Minus the 14. 520 under. 225 in the Milwaukee Minnesota game. And finally 526 under. 233.5 Portland Denver. Over in college basketball. Starting off with a total early game. 681 East Tennessee State, Western Carolina over 139.5. 692 Rhode Island minus the 1.5. 697. LaSalle plus the 14, 705. VMI plus the 10, 724. Wichita State minus 5.5, minus 6. 729. Belmont minus the 4, 738 under, 145.5. Washington, Ohio State, 740. Illinois State plus the 2.5. Finally, 751. Last game on the board, Wyoming plus the 17. And in added game, Navy 306, 542. Navy minus the 2. Again, it's early, but as you can see, already got in some early action. A lot of times there's some overnights as well. But I don't have a lot of confidence releasing those because more times than not, they're just simply manipulating the market, getting out ahead on low limits where you could move it in the way you want and then come back the other way. But these have been fired on since early this morning.
I love that. Yes, looking for some of that resistance. I ended up being on Florida late yesterday and said, okay, this is just too much overreaction. And they were absolutely dominant. Can you kind of let everybody know how you determine whether you're going to fire, if you see an early play come in, if you're going to fire right away, or if you're going to wait to see if they come back on the other side?
Personally, I always have circled what I like well in advance of when I expect plays to be coming in. That's first and foremost, because I never want to be biased by what guys that win are doing. You know what I mean? It kind of shades you in that position. And sometimes they're going to come in opposite, and I never blindly just piggyback them unless it's sports I don't handicap. So what I do is I always circle what I like, and then I look at the opening line, but I don't pay too much attention to it as far as the respect it's getting, because again, the limits are very low overnight. What's most important is what you see early in the morning. That's the key. Early in the morning, if you see them pushing a game continuously, like after they bet a game for -5 overnight and you're looking at -6, 6.5, and it comes again, they're hitting that -6.5. More times than not, it's another group that determine there's still EV there. That gives me more confidence than anything. And some are afraid and thinking like, wait, but I'm getting a bad number. Not if it continues to move. The key is to get a better ticket in your pocket than what it closes at. You're never going to be first. You never want to be last either. But you got to be able to at least not go too far out. Meaning, if you are watching the screen move after it moved last night and it moves another 1.5 or so, you've got to pass. You're better off waiting. What I like to do is then wait and see if it comes back down my way. If it comes back down that way, my way, more times than not, I'm not afraid of it if it was bet early in the day, because all that is that could be another group taking advantage of a number that's now moved up too high. And all they're going to do is bet it back down for me to where I could get in and get that same value that wasn't available to me early. Because again, it's a zero-sum game. These guys aren't working with each other. And once Team A moves significantly in one direction, the value is going to be on Team B. Doesn't mean you should jump off Team A. It simply means at that number, you shouldn't be betting Team A anymore. There's some value on the other side. So as far as like following the screen, you got to be, if you're going to be following the screen, you got to have like odds logic like I do. You got to be able to get the move immediately because most books are slow. And I talked about last week, you could get down on a lot of first halves that they have not adjusted yet for the full game, especially if you're betting into credit shops. So again, don't be afraid if you see a little bit of resistance. Don't be afraid to take the second number or even sometimes the third number, but you don't want to be last. That's the key. You want to make sure you got some EV in your pocket. And more importantly, if you already have those leans and then you're following the screen as well, follow the shops that are sharpest. We know who they are. It's the Pinnacles, it's Chris, it's Bet Online. You'll be able to determine who is sharper in different markets. Like obviously follow Bet Online when it comes to MMA. They're originators. You know what I mean? You could follow Chris on most of the college basketball. They take up big bets. And a lot of the skins are Chris that I know a lot of the credit shops are using. So those are how you really take advantage of line moves. But again, you have to already be ready. You already have to have what you like and then just get confirmation. That's the easiest way to know, number one, the sharp bettors also agree with you. And more importantly, you're getting just as good of a number as they are by not waiting and betting it too late. The only reason you should be betting about 10 minutes before game time is if you have such a big bankroll, you need big limits, or if obviously it's a public game, it's a primetime standalone game where the public money is going to outweigh the sharp money. They sometimes knock it out of whack and you could take advantage. But otherwise, you should not be betting that late unless, again, it's injury information. A lot of guys sitting in the NBA. But with that, you need to have up-to-date, up-to-second information like Odds Logic. That's helped me find some NBA plays, Kel, that I couldn't release to subscribers. But I knew I could bang into my credit shops once I saw the lineup and this player's out. That's an easy way to take advantage of NBA because it happens every single night. There's always a play or two just like that you could bang.
And this is the kind of stuff you guys get here on Wager Talk Today from VR and the Steam Report. You also get it on Last Call on Saturday and Sunday. And then his premium subscribers get 3 hours of it in the Steam room. Literally, just sitting there answering your questions, getting you guys confirmations on bets. VR, when is the Steam room this weekend? And how do people get involved?
Saturday. I'm going to do it Saturday because we're going to go over every college basketball game like we did 2 weeks ago. That's why I tell my guys, come in there prepared. Have the leans you like because I'm going to go game by game. I'm going to let you know the information that I have in front of me. Back end, what I think with the line movements, and more importantly, all the stuff that I'm betting as it's coming in off the instant messaging board that I'm involved with. That is priceless. That's priceless. And then, of course, we go over results. Year-to-date results, last week results, go over the money management, and again, keep myself accountable to those that trust me to piggyback the information. And finally, we're less than about 2 weeks away from the Blackjack Seminar kicking off. Anyone that's with me for the year, you already get that for free. Anyone else that just wants that seminar, you're going to be able to get the year for free. Either way, it's like if you got the year, you get the seminar for free. If you want the seminar, you pretty much get the year for free. It's a no-brainer, Kel. I paid 5 dimes for exactly what I'm going to teach them in that seminar. And even better, when they come to Vegas, if they're a yearly subscriber, I will go to the casino, stand behind them for at least an hour, watch them play, grab lunch, critique their play, answer any questions for them. And I'm really excited about that. It's a great time to be firing, and a great time to learn how to be the favorite against the casino every time you walk in. Like if you're going to play blackjack, you will be the favorite every single time you walk in the casino. Doesn't mean you're going to win every single time. Just like with sports, you can place a great bet and not win, but you will know every time you bet what my edge is before the cards are dealt. That much I promise you. I will teach you how to do that. If you could add, subtract, multiply, and divide, you will learn to do that. You don't have to know advanced calculus. You don't even have to know algebra to learn this. They make it seem harder than it is so that nobody does it. But believe me, it's as potent today as it was 20 years ago because I would teach you which games to go find and beat.
I love that. If you guys have never played blackjack with VR, you guys are missing out. There's a video floating around there from quite a while ago at the Mandalay Bay. Let's just say VR wasn't allowed to sit at the table about 4 minutes.
Nothing's changed.
Yeah, of course not. All right, guys. Thank you to VR. We'll see you this weekend on Last Call to get some more of that steam, or as we like to call it on Bet On It, gold. All right, guys, this has been Wager Talk Today. Thanks for hanging out with me on this beautiful Wednesday. Good luck on all of your bets. Thanks to Pavlos. Thanks to Andy, and thanks to Ralph for joining us as well. Hope you guys have a great day. If you guys want to see more of someone, make sure you drop it in the chat. Let us know who you like. Let us know what sports you like and what you want to do from a consumer perspective. We are here for you guys every single day on Wager Talk Today.